Good evening and welcome to this evening's regular board meeting of the Aransas Pass Independent School District Board of Trustees. Today is Monday, March 25th, 2024. The time now is 7 o'clock and we do have a quorum of the board. At this time, we will acknowledge and do our pledges of allegiance. Mr. Mullinax will lead us in the pledges of allegiance and Mr. Rector in our invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. My Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, this is a day you have made. We all should rejoice and be glad. We thank you for the precious gift you have given us and our students and our staff. We ask your blessings upon us as we prepare to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, knowing he arose on the third day with all power within his hands. Now we ask your blessings upon our meeting as we begin this evening. We ask all these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, for his sake we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Rector. Thank you, Mr. Mullinax. At this portion of our meeting is time for public testimony. Pursuant to Board Policy BED, the board will allow every person who wishes to address the board on the agenda, on an agenda item to do so before the board's consideration of the item. The board shall not deliberate regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of this meeting. This is a time for the board to stop, look, and listen to public comments. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. This evening, we have Heather Marsh. If you will, please come to the podium.
Hello, board members. My name is Heather Marsh. These are my two kids, Clinton and Charlie. They attend Charlie Marshall and Falk Elementary. I'm presenting to you this evening to bring your attention one parent's account of the ACE after-school program in which both of my children attended from August 14th, 2023 to February 13th, 2024. They boarded the bus at 6:36 a.m. and departed the bus from ACE at 6:30 p.m. I would like to let the board know my current background in education before I go into details. I hold a bachelor's degree in elementary educational studies from WGU, and I have 5 years combined experience as a paraprofessional in both elementary and secondary education. My experience ranges from kindergarten through 8th grade in both special education and elementary education, general education. My daughter was born with a rare form of Down syndrome 12 years ago. I've been researching education and educational laws since the day she was born. On August 16th, 2023, the school bus from ACE got lost, and I called APISD to help locate children as no one from transportation nor the district was answering the phones. This was an extremely terrifying 45 minutes of not knowing where my children were at 7:15 at night. On February 13th, the Falk Elementary ACE campus coordinator met me at the door when I picked Clinton up early so we could attend his sister's Valentine's Day banquet at CMES, and informed me we were out of compliance very rudely and loudly, yelling at me with Clinton standing right there. I had previously had a conversation with her on February 1st about picking him up early because we were trying to negate some behavior issues he was picking up during his time at ACE, and we were focusing on quality time at home. She informed me during that previous conversation that she was short-staffed and that there was an ACE waitlist. I told her then that I needed to remain in the program, but on February 13th, she backtracked and told me that during the initial conversation, she would be pulled from ACE for being picked up early. She did not. I explained to her during that first conversation that we were taking Maslow's whole child approach by learning to take some time to focus on his emotional and psychological needs because learning is about the whole child, not just academics. February 13th, she said he would be pulled from the program immediately and I would need to find an alternative solution. She gave me less than 24 hours. Do not appreciate the tone she used with me nor the lack of empathy she had for our situation. If this is the way she is comfortable treating parents at the door of the school, I cannot begin to fathom the way she treats the kids behind closed doors. And I'm beginning to see why my son had behavior issues if this is what he is witnessing on a daily basis. On February 14th, I was notified Charlie had been awarded an ACE completion certificate. How is it possible one of my children received a completion certificate, but About a week before spring break, a member of our community, not a part of my son's education team, informed me that he was being recommended for tutoring. I have yet to hear from anyone in the district concerning his educational needs. In conclusion, I do not believe APISD has a grasp on what ACE is actually doing to families, and having to redo homework after a 12-hour day because it was not done correctly the first time completely negates the entire concept of after-school state-funded tutoring.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who wishes to address the board during public comments? If not, then we will move on our agenda. The next item of business is our district recognitions. Our first item, we will let Dr. Barnes, our superintendent, present.
Thank you. Tonight, I'd like to recognize Odyssey Sanchez. She is a AP high school student. She qualified for a state competition in powerlifting. I think she is here. Come on down. Ms. Sanchez competed on March 13th at the Texas High School Powerlifting Association state competition in Frisco, Texas, and she placed 6 out of 12 in her weight class for the unequipped division. I want to congratulate Odyssey on a job well done. Come up here.
No, let's have her come closer. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'll come back around.
Yes.
I guess I'll push. Everybody's can squeeze in.
What's that?
Oh.
Yes, yes, yes. Come on, Victor.
Come on, Vic.
Turn sideways.
All in?
There we go. Powerlifting.
Powerlifting.
Justin, you want to share anything with us?
This is the first year they had unequipped cycle.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you, Coach.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So this is the first year they had unequipped division, which is really true strength. The other powerlifting, they get to use knee wraps, squat suits, bench shirts. Those are kind of inflated numbers. Still good, but inflated. In the raw division, they do not get to use those. They don't get to use any of the bench shirts, squat suits, knee wraps, none of that stuff. And also, she competed against everybody 1A through 6A. So the other divisions were just strictly 3A. Odyssey competed against 1A through 6A, and she tied for 5th at the state meet. So she is literally the 5th strongest person in her weight class in the state of Texas, all girls, regardless of classification. So Miss Odyssey Sanchez.
Congratulations again. At this time, we will recognize our Panthers of the Month and Employees of the Month. And assisting with these presentations will be Ms. Hill and also Ms. Chapa. And when your name is called, if you will, please come before the Panther banner. Oh, our first Panther of the Month could not be here this evening, but Liana Garza is a pre-K student at Falk Elementary. Liani is a good friend to others, a good helper in the classroom, and very dependable. When a friend needs help getting to the nurse or office, Liani helps them find their way. It is a pleasure to have Liana at Falk Elementary. Let's give her a round of applause. Our next Panther is Kaylee Charlie Johnson. Charlie is a 5th grade student at Charlie Marshall Elementary. Charlie is a hardworking student and always put forth her best effort in all areas of her schoolwork. Charlie is quick to make a new friend wherever she goes. She brings a spark of joy, lots of hugs, and plenty of laughter into the classroom. It has been a true pleasure watching her learn and grow. Congratulations, Charlie. Next, we have Dante Salone. Dante is a 7th grade student at AC Blunt Middle School. Dante is known by staff members as a polite and kind student. He works hard in classes and always participates in class discussions. Dante takes ownership of his learning and will ask questions to ensure he understands the information being presented. Dante is a model student at AC Blunt, and we are proud of him. Congratulations. Next, we have Aubrey Toast Coleman. Aubrey is an amazing junior at APHS who has a strong drive and commitment to success. Toast comes into class every day with a great mindset and positive attitude and demonstrates caring and compassion for others with actions like taking the time to email a teacher who has been out sick, hoping they feel better soon. What an excellent example of what it means to be a Panther. Thank you and congratulations, Toast. And now for our Employees of the Month. First, we have Aurora Cantarero, known as Ms. C at Falk. Mrs. C is a dependable, hardworking paraprofessional. She has been working in education since 2004 and with APISD for the past 6 years. She loves our babies and always goes above and beyond. We are fortunate to have Mrs. C at Falk Elementary. Congratulations. Our next Employee of the Month could not be here tonight because she has other duties, extracurricular activities, but we still want to recognize Erica Moreno. Mrs. Moreno is a life skills teacher at Charlie Marshall. This is Mrs. Moreno's 2nd year at APISD. She has a heart full of love for her students, and her patience, gentle demeanor, adaptability, and empathy are evident as she continuously evaluates strategies that work for her students. We are proud to have Mrs. Moreno as our Employee of the Month. Congratulations. Next, we have Hope Flores. Hope is the lead custodian at AC Blunt Middle School. Hope works very hard keeping our bathrooms, hallways, classrooms clean. She is friendly to everyone and takes great pride in her work. We can always count on Hope to get things done. She is a highly valued member of the AC Blunt team, and we are proud to have her as our Employee of the Month. Congratulations. Next, we have Justin Guerrero. Coach Guerrero goes above and beyond in his teaching and coaching. He helps students who are not in his class with their work and can regularly be seen checking in students in the hallway between classes. He shows strong dedication to preparing his students for TSI and other standardized testing and is an excellent example for us all. He is just an all-around outstanding teacher, coworker, coach, and human being. Congratulations. Next, we have Diane Genovese. Diane is the purchasing coordinator And she puts great deal of time and thought into building camaraderie between staff by planning monthly luncheons. Diane makes sure everyone feels valued with celebrations of birthdays and life milestones, and cares for staff members suffering with bereavement by coordinating flowers and meals. We are proud to have Diane as our Employee of the Month. Congratulations. And next we have Lupe Castillo. Lupe is the lead custodian at APHS and the administrative offices, and has been with APISD for 6 years as of this summer. Lupe is very helpful, hands-on, reliable, and responsible. Anytime we need her to step up, she will be there without hesitation. We could not do it without her. Thank you, Lupe, for all your help for APISD. Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Hill, Ms. Chapa. We appreciate our mighty Panthers, our students, and our employees. And it's an honor to be able to take a pause and to recognize those of you who have been recognized by your campuses. We have so many wonderful employees and students, and I just want to say congratulations and continue the great work that you're doing, not only in your role, but for the district and our community. We're going to take a pause, so if any students or anyone needs to leave, and then we'll transition into our presentations. Lots of hugs.
Yes.
You're welcome to stay. Okay.
Precious.
Next on our agenda is our APISD Texas ACE Program and Compliance Update presentation. If you will please come to the podium and introduce yourself. I believe we have our ACE Program Director here with us this evening. Hello.
I'm never sure which one to push. Is it good now?
Sorry about that.
Better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I can always put on my teacher voice. It'll be fine. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Suzanne Ronsleben. I am the project director for the ACE program. I would like to give you a presentation about what the ACE program is all about, and then I would like to address some questions that I'm sure that we will have. I'll be happy to do that. First of all, the ACE program, ACE is an acronym for After School Centers on Education. It is funded by a federal grant that you received, which was extremely competitive, and so you are very lucky to have the funds to have this after-school program, because there were so many districts in the state of Texas who did not receive it. Okay, this is a 5-year federally funded program, and you had asked for grades pre-K through 5. So we serve both the Falk campus and the Charlie Marshall campus. The nice part about this grant, and they really haven't made a final decision on it yet, but TEA is considering for the very first time a possible extension of this grant at the end of the 5 years without having to write a new grant. So keep your fingers crossed, because that would be a really good thing for this, where you wouldn't have to be competitive with it. They would just extend the time that you had with the grant. Okay, what we try to provide is a safe, enriching environment where students can enhance their academic performance and their overall well-being. We have over 100 students at each of the campuses. We try to have enough staffing to cover everyone so that the students can feel safe there. And we offer a variety of different kinds of programs that I will talk to you about shortly. It's also a source of family engagement. We try to connect the parents to their child's education and to the school community through events that we have. But we're also a resource for those families. Sorry. We are a resource for those families in addition. For example, when we try to find out what the family needs are, then we try to provide programming that will help them. For example, if you have parents who have English as a second language, we can provide ESL classes for them. If you have parents that need training of some kind, we can offer that kind of, whatever kind of training it is they're looking for. We hope next year to partner with Del Mar College to offer a parent academy, once we find out what the parents' interests are and what their specific needs entail. The TEA goal, the why for ACE, is to empower students to realize their potential and change the world. I know that's a lofty goal, but when you see these little guys every day and the growth that they make, it's entirely possible. Okay, who is ACE? The ACE leadership, myself, Suzanne Ronsleben, I am the program director, and I oversee the whole program. Naomi Stevens, if you'll stand, Naomi. She is a part-time person for ACE. She works during the after-school hours and on weekends for us. But she is our program specialist and family engagement person, and she is helping us identify the curriculum that supports our program goals. The perfect fit for the job. Okay, the site coordinator here, Monica Plow, if you'd stand a minute. Monica oversees all the daily programs and the operations on the Charlie Marshall campus. At Falk, we have Roseanne Shearer, if you'd stand. She oversees the daily programs and the operations of the Falk campus. Okay, how do we do what we do? We have targeted goals that we are assigned by TEA. That they don't want to tell you. There we go. We are tasked with improving student engagement in learning, improving student achievement in reading and in math, and we do that through some very intense identification of students with the most need and the high-intensity tutoring. It's called HIT tutoring. I don't want you to think we hit them to get them to tutor. It's high-intensity tutoring or HIT tutoring, and the curriculum is specified by TEA. Okay, we also are there to approve school day attendance. Statistics say that if students are engaged in after-school activities, their school day attendance improves because they want to be in school so they can go to the after-school programming. The other thing we are tasked with is improving student behavior. And we try to work with the parents. What we have to do with as many students as we have is we are allowed to give them a timeout from ACE if they cannot behave. We've seen a lot of good results with that, but some students have had to be dismissed. But the good result is the schools can't leave them, they can't say timeout. They have to keep them regardless of behavior. But we've seen in the ACE program that if we give them a 3-day separation from ACE, when they come back, the behavior improves, most cases. The nice part about having 2 after-school programs in your district is that we partner with Aransas Pass for Youth. So if we have to dismiss a student for 2 or 3 days, AP for Youth will take those students at a minimal fee to the parents so that the parent is not interrupted in work. The students are still cared for, and then when they come back to ACE, they can begin again with fresh footing. Okay. We must provide TEA with a logic model and a strategic plan for reaching our goals. That's some of the little light reading I gave you in your booklet. We have our strategic plan with all of our goals and the ways that we plan to meet them. And I gave you a copy of the grant itself, if you've not had an opportunity to read that, so that you know what's expected of the program. It's a great deal more than after-school childcare. TEA actually monitors our compliance by what we enter into TEAL, and they monitor us on site. We have someone who will come down here and look at our programming in the fall, in the spring, and in the summer to make sure that we are providing the best programming possible, and they give us advice on how to improve, look at our strategic goals. We review those goals midpoint to make sure that we're on target. If not, we reassess those goals, because one of the things that we are targeted with doing is identifying the students who are most in need. So when we're doing that, we're dealing with students who typically do not have very good grades because they're struggling, and our job is to try to give them the tutoring they need that will get them back on grade level and operating successfully both now and in the future. Okay, basically we are an extension of the school day. We work with the campus teachers, their school day teachers, and administrators to help identify campus needs and to help those campuses meet their needs and their goals, as well as our own. Okay, what are the grant requirements? Students must attend ACE 2 or more hours per day for a minimum of 60 days. Now, TEA expects them to do this, the 2 hours a day, for the entire year. But for us to be able to count it, if we don't have 100 kids who come to ACE 2 hours a day for at least 60 days at each campus, you will lose your funding. You can even lose partial funding if we meet it part way, but not all the way. Okay, our student target is 100 students at each campus. Where are we today? Well, Falk is at 102. Charlie Marshall is at 89, with 13 more students on target to reach the goal by May. So we will have met that requirement of the grant before summer school even starts. Parent attendance. The grant requires us to have at least one parent a parent in I can't talk, I'm sorry. If you're a parent, I expect you to come to at least one family event per year. And we are targeted with 50 on each campus. I think I'm going to give this up and just talk about it. Falk has to have 50, Charlie Marshall has to have 50. And where we are today in March, and we will have more later, is 121 at Falk and 141 at Charlie Marshall. We hope to increase that next year with increased services. Okay. The high-intensity tutoring is also a requirement of the grant. One of the reasons that it's imperative that parents leave their students the 2 hours a day is because we are to pull at least 50 of our 100 kids to do 30 minutes of tutoring a day for a minimum of 30 days. We have to have 50 total, preferably before summer school, because we don't do any of the HIT tutoring in summer school. Okay? If they pull them early and they're in tutoring, then they're pulling them from that activity. We can't meet our goals and the students can't improve. Our goal for the high-intensity tutoring, and this is a ratio of 1 to 4 students. So it's very intense, very hands-on, and very student-directed. Okay, our student target for this particular grant, Falk has to have 50, Charlie Marshall has to have 50. As of March, Falk has 50, Charlie Marshall has 47, and Charlie Marshall is on target to have 8 more reach that goal by April. So we are there. But in addition to that, what we've done at the Falk campus, due to the need of the Falk campus, we've talked to administration, and they wanted to continue the tutoring and wanted to add more students to the program just for the HIT tutoring. So what we have done is we've hired a first grade teacher, a second grade teacher, and kindergarten teachers to tutor 8 students per day until May, when the testing is done. These are specially targeted students based on their benchmark scores, and what the tutoring is dealing with is what they are deficit in, trying to get them up to grade level in some of the things that they did not perform well on the benchmarks. This will put us at probably 24 students more at the Falk campus for the high-intensity tutoring. So instead of 50, we'll end up with 74 who've been through that intense tutoring. Okay, we do provide expanded academic services, and how do we do that? We have these particular students are learning their upper and lowercase levels. I believe they are kindergartners, and some of them are pre-Kers. This is a pre-K student learning to write his name. They're very excited about that too. They love to see their names. Learning math concepts by playing math bingo. We try to do things that are fun with them, so it's not just more lessons, that they're actually learning to apply some things and use it and have fun doing it. We provide enrichment activities as well. Here they're doing a science experiment with Skittles. We have coding, art, and this is for the pre-K, and this is to help them with their fine motor skills. They have little bitty pinchers that they pick up colors with, and they have their own colors, so they're learning their colors, they're learning to pick them up, and they also have frogs that they can punch, and the frog will jump in their bowl. So they're excited to be filling their bowl with the colors that they have. Okay, we also do some modeling for rights and responsibilities. This is Falk Elementary on Election Day. All of our students voted. What they were voting on was whether they liked chocolate chip cookies or Oreo cookies best. They all got an I voted sticker because it was Election Day. We got the little stickers, so everybody who voted got a sticker. And you can see all the little girls over there pointing to their I voted sign. And then the next day, everybody's enjoying the winner of that vote, the Oreo cookie. They also learned about why do you vote, what voices count when you vote, and that majority sometimes may not be what you like, but if the majority is what they want, then maybe you need to promote your product more during a voting session. I think this next year we're going to have them do posters for their cookies and maybe campaign for their cookies before they vote, to give them just the idea of what it's like to have a voice. We also observe national celebrations, and we do send some of these things home. We have the Gratitude Challenge on National Gratitude Day. We did Kindness Bingo for Kindness Day. And you can see right there somebody enjoying popcorn on National Popcorn Day. So we're trying to teach them that there are national celebrations, what they're all about, and get them involved in some of those. Okay, we also are tasked with career and college exploration. We can't take them to a college, but we can show them some of the things that they could do, some exploring of the kinds of things that they might want to be when they grow up. Here's a little boy who's doing the color book. We partnered with AP for Youth, and Brenda created a color book with all of the displays that were at one of the county functions that they had, where all these great big trucks came around and the kids could crawl on them, go talk to the people about them, find out what it took to have a job in that, talk to the military, just to get an idea of some of the things that are out there and explore the possibilities. Okay, the family engagement. Part of what we did was we asked parents, what do you need? And part of what they needed was exactly what we needed to provide. We help with reading. How do you help your student read? So we've had family reading nights where they've come and played reading games with their children, had a guest reader where the kids could interact, and have teachers that they're showing the kinds of like sight words that they do and how you apply those sight words at home, things like that. The other thing they said was, I can't do the math. When my kid comes home and he's got homework in math, I don't know how to help him. It's not the kind of math I grew up with. So we had family math night where the parents would come. Here you see a father with his sons with they're holding their favorite math sign. And they have gone through and gotten help on what are the resources available to you to help your child at home. And what are some of the fun things that you can do? They did scavenger hunts and all kinds of things, all dealing with math and the new math concepts. So what's next? Let's talk summer school. In your packets, you have a flyer of some of the summer school activities that we are going to be providing. The Art Center, Rockport Center for the Arts, has created a week of art activities for Falk Campus and for Charlie Marshall Campus, strictly for APISD kids. We're going to have a ballet instructor come, and she can only take 20, but we're going to try to get as many in as we can. And ACE will provide the leggings, the shoes, and the little outfit that they have to have for the dance. And at the end of the week, there will be a performance by the students for their parents. Okay, the Maritime Museum has created 2 weeks just for Aransas Pass kids. The young ones will go in the morning, the older ones will go in the afternoon. And Captain Tommy Moore has the Skimmer, which is a boat that holds 30 people. He does a summer program for kids that's phenomenal. They'll do beach exploration, they'll do some exploration on the boat. They have lifeguards, CPR instructors, Texas wildlife people. They have everything imaginable to keep these kids safe, but give them the experience of a lifetime. And that will be for 30 students. In order to do that, I was able to get an additional grant because we didn't have enough in the $520,000. It takes that to run the program. But I've been able to get another grant through your education foundation for $65,500 to help fund this summer school program. That's going to be something later on in your program that you're going to be asked to approve. Please approve, please. Okay, anybody have any questions? From the
Trustees?
I've got a few questions. Just for clarification, who has the authority to approve the expenditures?
To approve what?
The expenditures for the grant program, does that go through your office or our superintendent's office?
I manage all the funds. I keep up with the budget every time we have a payday. I upgrade all of our expenses. I watch it like a hawk, and I try to be extremely fiscally responsible. The additional funds will go for things that, A, we don't have enough money to provide, and B, things that federal grant funds can't do, that we can do with non-federal funds, but they're fine with that, as long as it's not federal funds.
So is the district responsible for the compliance of the program, or does that fall under your stewardship as the director?
Well, I would imagine it falls under my directive. I either make it happen or I don't. But the district, I'm sure, watches over that carefully. I mean, they want to know where we stand, which is why I'm telling you tonight, we're on target to reach all of our goals. You will be fully funded next year, and we're going to have some really special things this summer, too.
So do you have other meetings with our district staff that you share out the information with them other than the board meeting that we're doing tonight?
I have an advisory council that's made up of parents and community members, some teachers from different campuses, that we meet and we try to get ideas on what community needs are, what the parent needs are. They will basically, in August, when we start to do our strategic plan, they will look over our strategic goals, maybe offer suggestions, maybe add some. I mean, I know there's some that we absolutely have to do, but they can also, ACE is a lot about family voice and choice. And so we want to hear from the families and what their needs are.
And then just one more question. I've noticed here on page, it says page 3, I think it's page 3, it talks about the duties of the parties. It's the MOU between APISD and Aransas Pastor U.
Yes.
Under duties and school responsibilities, it says the district shall serve as the physical agent of the grant. What does that mean?
They are fiscally responsible for the grant. It goes through them. They set up the budgets for it. I tell them what I need in each of the budget items. We track those budget items as expenses come in. But at any given time, I can go to the person in charge of the district financial part and say, can you give me an updated budget? And they've got it right there. They know exactly where we are at all times.
And is the budget part of any type of auditing purpose at the end of the year?
Any type of what, sir?
Auditing purposes.
Auditing?
Yes, ma'am.
We could be audited for that, but I don't see a problem with that.
Is
We
that
are
by the
totally,
state or is that by our auditors?
it could be either, but,
If I may,
I mean, the
Ms.
state
Chopper?
has the right to come in and audit, absolutely.
Through our auditor, under, all federal grants are audited through our auditor, our external auditor. It depends, randomly they choose which ones they want to pick and do a deeper, in-depth study of some of the federal funds and grants.
Okay,
So
that's where you're in
this
the
may be
process.
picked by random, but it is in general overseen by our external auditor.
And as far as my responsibility, most of our funding goes to salaries for staff. But what does not, the actual programming and things, I can give you everything you need to know about what we've spent every dime on.
That's all I have.
Just to piggyback, when you mentioned the advisory council,
Yes, ma'am.
how frequently does the advisory council meet?
About 3 times a year.
Okay.
We'll meet basically in August, before school starts, midterm, and then again in the spring. And that's a good way for them to, we set some goals, we kind of look at our goals, see if we're on target to meeting those, change them up, fix them, add more, and then at the end, how did we do? Where do we look going forward?
And is that in terms of the strategic plan?
They will help with the strategic plan. Some of that strategic plan is mandatory. The 5 things that I had up there that TEA requires: the improved discipline, the improved attendance, the improvement in reading, improving in math, and improved engagement in the academics, engagement in learning. Those are the grants, those are the things that I have to do. They're mandatory for every ACE grant in the state of Texas. The additional ones are based on need. What does the campus need? What do the families need? And we will decide what those are based on input from them. And then we will create, in our strategic plan, we will create goals and kind of lay out how we plan to achieve those goals. And that's what the advisory council will be helping us do.
So do you have individual plans for those families that have been identified needing additional support and resources?
Additional resources? No, ma'am, not this year. One of the things I know that we need to do, and I would like to do this next year, is I would like to have to target some of our ESL kids, to have them come in and have resources for ESL families. The way ACE began this year, it was open enrollment to anybody who wanted to enroll, and there was not a lot of information given out to the parents or anyone else. And so we started with about 150 students and no staff, because I hired Roseanne and Monica the Friday before school started, and they wanted ACE to open day 1 because they said that's what the parents needed. So we had a bumpy start because we had to wrap our hands around getting enough staff for all of the kids, making sure they were safe, dealing with the parents who were used to going to Latchkey, which serves a marvelous purpose, and they could go in at 4:15 and pick their kid up and go home. And we're saying, no, you need to leave your child at 5:30. We have all these things we need to do with them. And so eventually the parents who could not do that, they have other plans. They've got things to do, places to go. Then Latchkey became their source because that's the perfect vehicle for them. The students whose parents work till 5:30 or 6 o'clock, we're open till 6. They're the ones that need their kids to be there until that last minute because they're working. And so we've tried to refocus where we are accommodating those parents, and as people who were not needing our services, but they just needed childcare, we tried to provide services to the parents who did need it because we sought them out. At that point, we were able to do what the grant specifies that we do, and that is dig into the information and target goals on identification. Identify the people who need it the most. Ask them into the program, and then serve those needs. So that's what we're trying to do at this point, is move it into the direction that's the natural intent of the grant and serve the people who are most in need of that grant.
And so when you talk about needs and targeted information and specific objectives, is that in terms of academics from the student with the student needs, or are you talking holistically as a family? So you have the student and maybe some needs
On
there, and then parent needs.
day-to-day services, it's more targeted to the students who need the service. But it's also targeted to the parents who need the service, because we try to offer, for example, the very first meeting we had, we said, what is it that you need that you don't have? And they said, we need to know new math. And so we've done math programs for them. Some of them wanted to know, how do I help my little one learn how to read? So we've done some reading programs where they could come in and learn what is a sight word and how do you do that and how do you work with your child on phonics and spelling and things like that. But it can even be bigger than that. For example, one of the things that we'd like to do is work with Del Mar next year and provide a parent academy that can offer parents what they need. What we need now is to know what they need. Then we have the funds to provide a once a week, once a month meeting where parents can have whatever resources they're looking for provided for them, because Del Mar would come over here. And that could even be a GED. We could offer a GED program. Things like that for ACE parents.
Trustees?
I have two quick questions.
Sure.
Just so that I can make sure that I understood your presentation fully. So the numbers that you had there with the 100 per campus and the 80, and we were on target, we had 8 more, that is reflective of the percentages in the strategic plan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. I
Yes,
just wanted
if I have to have 100 kids at Falk and 100 kids at Charlie Marshall in order to keep my funding, then that's a major goal for me.
Perfect. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was fully on board with what was
Right.
happening.
Well, and the other thing, like with the tutoring, we have to do those, but I don't like ACE to just be a numbers game. And that's why when Falk said, can we do more of this HIT tutoring, we said, absolutely. We will spend the funds to provide that if that's what this campus needs. And so we go to the campuses, we go to the teachers to find out what the needs of the campus are so we can help with that as well.
perfect.
Yeah, ours is very much an extension of the school day, not a daycare center. And for me to be fiscally responsible with the funds I have, that's how the program has to focus, is helping these kids and doing the things we need to do and keeping the kids there till 5:30 so that they can have all these services and improve.
Perfect. And my last question is just for clarity, because the MOU in here is our MOU with AP for Youth.
AP for Youth and APISD wrote the grant together.
Right.
They are your partner.
Yes. I just wanted to make sure, because that is AP for Youth's MOU, not necessarily the ACE program's MOU with
But they're our partner too.
But they're your partner. Right. I
Right,
just
and we
wanted
do
to-
partner with AP for Youth. We've done, I've done quite a bit of work, especially, with getting some facilities ready for them to help parents that we had to dismiss kids from. I work very closely with them on that. But this summer, we're also working very closely with them because we're required to have 25 days of summer school. And to provide that, we're doing 3 full weeks of intensive programming, and then the students who want to go on and finish up another 3 weeks, we're actually adding a week to the program. Instead of 5 weeks, it's going to be 6 weeks. And we're going to pay AP for Youth whatever the entry fee is for that child, so they continue. And AP for Youth will then take over and do some of that. It's a good partnership that way, because then the kids get a full round summer, which is so important, because the main reason that they want summer school to even exist is because statistics suggest that students who do not attend a summer school program lose 20% of their reading and 20% of their math skills in the summer before the next year. So to prevent the summer slide, we're trying to do a lot of things. We are not doing anything called academic in the summer, but everything we do will have academics folded into it.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. Once a student's in your program, and I guess that next year you evaluate to see how well they did on the state testing or whatever testing they do on the campuses. Do they move out of the program so it makes room for more kids, or they stay in the program, or how do they, what's the criteria for once they're in the program, to stay in it forever, or as long as they need it, or how do you identify who needs it, who doesn't? Is that changed every year?
It doesn't change every year, no, sir. Basically, the big determiner this year was parent need. In the beginning, I think the district had planned to let ACE absorb AP for Youth, but they could not, because that's their partner in the grant. And so very quickly, with all the bumps and bruises that we took in the first month of school, we learned that there is a tremendous need in this community for both ACE and AP for Youth. We serve two entirely different needs, but the parents need both. And so what ACE is doing is really targeting the kids that need it the most. And when I'm saying that, you're saying, have they improved? They may improve, but when we're targeting the kids, we're targeting kids who are extremely low. And so we measure their growth in increments. And it may take them the full 5 years to get on grade level. But that doesn't mean that a student who doesn't need tutoring can't come to ACE. If the parent works until 5:30, 6 o'clock, and they have that need, and they're willing to keep their student in there, and they want the enrichment activities and so forth, they're absolutely entitled to do that. We just can't take more than 100 kids because we don't have funding for more than that.
Now again, is that identified as far when you identify the 100 kids you're going to take at each one of those campuses? Once they're in the program, and there's more kids that really, every year you test again. Is there new kids coming in that program, so you have to make room for those? So those kids that are doing pretty good now move out of the program?
No, sir.
So once they're in it, to stay in it?
They're enabled to stay in it, but we will have a waiting list for ACE. So if somebody moves away, or if parents decide that they need a different program instead, then we will put someone on the waiting list in the program at that time. I mean, I wish we had $1 million and could cover 200 kids,
Well,
but we can't.
I mean, I guess my thought is the fact that it's a good program for those kids that go every year. You're going to have more kids that are going to struggle because you got new kids coming up. They're going to be tested, and so, but you got kids in the program, so those kids aren't eligible to go into the program to help them achieve whatever their I guess, for lack of a reading or math skills or whatever skills they need to develop on. That we don't have the capability to do that. So then we're going to have to go back to the campuses for them to develop a program at the campuses to get them up to whatever.
Right, and like I said, ACE can help with that because we're not taking 24 new kids into the program at Falk to do 60 days at 2 hours a day. They're there for tutoring. We're not playing a numbers game. We have our numbers. So therefore, we can go ahead and offer these kids an hour a day where the parents bring them and pick them up, where we can help the school do exactly what you're talking about. Target those kids who need it the most and get them in that tutoring.
So it sounds more like this is supplementing, it's not replacing, as a resource for our students. But because of the limited capacity and the limited funds, you have to take those that are in the most need at the time that the grant was awarded.
Yes.
Okay. And then
But that's not how the enrollment was set up.
Oh.
That's
okay.
why we had 150, 160 kids at each campus on day one.
I remember the
But you know, we've tried to explain
more.
as we've gone the difference in the kind of program ACE is. It's not daycare. We do provide an environment that's safe for our kids, but it's so much more than that. I mean, we are responsible to TEA for this grant. And if we don't do what this grant requires, they can pull it at any time. And I don't intend for that to ever happen under my watch. I mean, what these ladies are doing is remarkable.
If you will, please elaborate when you said that the district does not have to reapply. You mentioned that the grant can be
This is the first
extended.
time ever
Okay.
in the 21st century process. I don't think that's working. I'll talk my teacher voice. Where TEA is considering with Cycle 12, which is what we are, of looking at the Cycle 12 grantees in that 5th year and offering an extension. Now, we would have to earn that, and if they don't know what that would look like. But if the state approves it, we wouldn't get more funding, but we would still get the same 520,000.
Oh, okay.
But we would get to have it for more years, maybe up to 5 more years, which is huge. Anybody else have a question?
Would it be possible for you to share the PowerPoint with Blaze so that she can send us a copy?
She's
just
got
so
it.
that
She
we
can send it to you, sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, this is not my, not my best presentation form.
No, it's okay. It was just a lot of information, so I'd like to just
It
be able
is
to
a lot
sit
of
with it.
information, and like I say, I gave you some, what they say, light reading, which is our strategic plan and the whole grant. In case you haven't read it before, you can at least look over it, and I'm available at any time to answer your questions.
Perfect.
And you're more than welcome to come to the campuses and observe. We'd love that. Or volunteer. If you have something you really love to do, we'd love you to teach that to our kids.
I like that.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Our next item of business is, doesn't sound like it's on. Is it on? Okay. Our next item of business is the Education Service Center Region 2 Board of Directors Election Place 1. This is something, trustees, you have information in your board book about the candidates. There are 2 candidates for Region 2 in Place 1, Leticia Cervantes and Amy Koning. This is a election that we will do so anonymously. You have your ballots. You will just mark your ballot, and then we will turn them in to Ms. Miller, who will, they should be at your seats, who will put them in the envelope and return them back to the Education Service Center in Corpus. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now at the portion of our meeting for our superintendent's report. Dr. Barnes.
Thank you. Before you, we have the superintendent's attendance report on enrollment. The attendance enrollment report is from February the 7th through March 21st. And it's an additional page where we have snapshot date, which is October 31st. We submit to the state for our fall PM submission. And then we have the average daily attendance and attendance from August 14th to March the 20th. And those are the 2 reports that are provided to you.
Trustees, any questions on the enrollment reports?
Looks like we're almost there for the attendance for the year is 92.99, so as of the end of this, so we're almost at 93%, so.
Yes, sir. And our goal is, I know we submitted 93 as our goal for the year at 1,700 kids, and working with the principals, we're going to really try to make a bigger push to get past 93%. And so that's kind of our focus right now. So our wildly important goal, I guess, would be 95 is where we want to be, but 93 is what we submitted, and they've been working really hard with different programs, different incentives to try to get our students here every day that we can. And also working through our truancy office as well, dealing with it on that side of it. So between incentives and truancy, we're hoping to meet our goal, which is unfortunately for everyone, the attendance in the spring is really rough. But I told Miss Mary today, I saw some kids outside at lunch. I almost stopped and said, "Hey, why are you not in school today?" But we won't get there yet, but it's coming. But yes, sir, that's we're getting close to our goal for the year.
Well, thank you, campus leaders. I know it's an ongoing amongst the many other responsibilities that you have, but this is very important, especially when, as Dr. Barnes mentioned, when it impacts our school financing.
Well, no, it impacts if the finances just follow along. It impacts their ability for the education. If they're not in school, they're missing what's in the class, and they have to make it up. And once you get behind, it's kind of hard to catch up, especially for some of the kids that really are struggling right now. That they need to, need to be in class every day to help them achieve what they need to get.
Our next item is our calendar events. This informational piece is there for you. Dr. Barnes, do you have anything further? It looks like we've got a
full screen. So if you have some free evenings or weekends, there's a plethora of things that are going on throughout the district. I would encourage you to try to attend as many as you can. And that's everything academics, sports, all our extracurriculars. So there's a lot going on in the district in the spring semester. And so we have a list in here for you that you can add some items to your calendar.
Now, when I got first place I heard first place in district?
Yes, we have first place in district, and we'll be competing on Thursday at noon. Am I right, mister? Yes. And so we'll be going for our second first place win on Thursday.
Wish them luck, sir.
Oh, yes. They did a great job. We had a chance to see them in the public performance, and so they took that and went to one district.
There's some pretty impressive actors out there right now. In fact, they even had me crying. I had little tears coming down. If you haven't seen it before, they put on a good act, and they really get into it real well. So they really portray what they're trying to do across to the audience. So
yes, and I think it's also just if you haven't had a chance to attend one, and I didn't realize this either, that they're also, I guess you could say, graded on their setup. So they have like 4 minutes to get all their props together. And if you go over the 4 minutes, you automatically just get disqualified. The play itself is only 40 minutes, and the judges want you to get as close to 40 minutes as possible. And if you go over 40, you're disqualified, and then you have to break everything down within 4 minutes. So not only reading your parts and knowing that, you have to some physical stuff to do as well. So a great job for those kids and those staff who are supporting them with that.
Thank you, Dr. Barnes. We're now at the portion of our meeting for financial reports. Ms. Chapa.
One thing before that,
Fine.
some of the parents want to know on this Monday, April the 1st, it's student holiday. They want to know if that's an April Fool's.
Oh, on the calendar?
They want,
For the business reports, the accounts payable report for February 29, 2024. Total cash on hand is $6,849,000. Total expenses for the month of February was $1,838,000. The reason that is high is because we paid $1.2 million to our insurance, so that's why you see the payment on the local maintenance high, because we paid that $1.2 million to the insurance. Next report, the budget status report. Year to date, we've collected $11,573,000. Our expenditures to date is $9,300,000. The food service, we've collected $742,000, and we've expended $680,000. And for the debt service fund, we've collected $1,566,000, and we've paid bond payments of $768,000. Next report, the tax collection report for the month of February. For the current month, we've collected $1,468,000 in current tax collections and $19,882 in delinquent tax collections. We're at 87% of our total tax collections as of the end of February. Our ESSER report, we collected we claimed 15,000 to TEA in reimbursements for the month of February and 6,000 in the month of March of reimbursements. To close the ESSER report, we have 31,920. To close it, we have till September 30th to finish this grant. For FEMA, at the last board meeting, I mentioned the subcontractor had mentioned it's possibly that the FEMA would be rejected because we're out of the 90-day window of when Hurricane Harvey hit. On most of our other claims that we had prior, it was not an athletic field. They were all classroom related. So what they call it an exigency matter. All those were approved because there were classroom buildings that were needed. This one, they believe that since it's a facility, it won't fall under the exigency matter. And they also stated we needed to provide cost measurements of the cost to repair the athletic fields. And they want the cost estimates from 7 years ago. And it's kind of out of our hands. So one of the things that Dr. Barnes went to a conference, and there's a unique group. It's called LRG. Let me see if it's called LRG Loss Recovery Group. It's comprised of superintendents and insurance adjusters. And that's what we need at this point, to give us an insurance adjuster to give us cost estimates of the costs that we had 7 years ago for the repairs. And this company will charge us 10% of whatever claims they are able to provide for us. An example. The baseball softball field, we're eligible for $305,000 of claims to be reimbursed. If LRG helps us with cost estimates, is able to help appeal and provide more documentation to FEMA, then they would get $30,000 and we will get $270,000. So this is something we're looking into. This LRG company also provides services to see if we got everything reimbursed through our insurance claims. This company is also working with a school district 10 miles north of us. They started working with that school district 6 months ago and looking at the insurance claims for Hurricane Harvey and also helping them with FEMA. They're in the same boat as we are. So this company, it's possible we may be looking to this company for assistance, and if we may bring this item back to you to see if we can go into a contract with this company to see if we can get more funds for FEMA.
Trustees, any questions on any of the financial reports?
Can you share the legal name of that company, LRG? Is it just LRG or does it have a?
LRG Loss Recovery Group. It's comprised of retired superintendents and insurance adjuster. It's a unique group that is working with school districts and counties and cities, and that is what they do. They go back and look at all the insurance claims, and they also help with FEMA claims. They are working with the school district north of us. And what was mentioned, it's about 10% of whatever they're able to recover. If they do not recover any funding, then there is no cost.
So does that mean that the claim is still open and it's not denied?
Oh, sorry. The last time I had said it was going to be denied. It is not at that point yet. After the February board meeting, then they send a list of more documentation that they need. They're still reviewing some paperwork before it gets submitted to FEMA. But the subcontractor stated those 2 items will be written to where it's a possibility that it may be denied, and then we could appeal it. LRG will help us possibly before they deny us.
Any questions, comments from trustees? Thank you, Ms. Chapa. Our next item is board updates. We do have an item here regarding our, just to discuss and overview the training. Since our last meeting, we've had quite a bit. We had our governance camp. We've had,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I got kicked off and I was trying to log back on at the same time. Apologize for that. We had our TASB governance camp, and we also had a Region 2 conference and other continuing education. Next month at our April meeting, or for our April meeting, will be our annual posting of our individual training logs. So just as a reminder, I know several of you have had additional training. If you will please get those to Ms. Miller next week so that she can prepare for the following week's agenda packet. It's coming quickly, so she'll need whatever additional training. But just as our employees have to attend training and conferences and professional development, we too, as trustees, further our learning in our roles to keep abreast of issues that are happening in public education, but also so that we can do our jobs better, that we can serve, have better understanding and capacity of the issues facing public education. And then once we do that, then those takeaways from all the various and respective trainings that we've attended, whether it was online, in person, what have you, some takeaways, I'll ask and I'll do the same. If there's takeaways that you found in all of those various sessions that you attended, that we can come back you think that would help us as a board, help us as a district, help us in our future planning as we revamp our strategic plan with the new balanced scorecard, as we're looking at upcoming academic year student programs for our campuses, and also goals, objectives, all of that. So I'm sure you all took very good notes, and so if you don't mind, if you'll look through those, and if there's something that you thought, wow, this is something that a different approach or a new twist or something that we haven't thought of, then let's collect that, and that way we can use it as we're moving forward, because we're going to get really busy quickly here. And I don't want to miss the opportunity of all this great information and knowledge that we've participated in and sat in and over this last month. And I'll also offer you an opportunity, if there's anything that you want to quickly share from your respective trainings, I know when you go to conferences, there's a lot, but if there's anything in particular. If not, nope, okay. All right, so again, make sure you get your credits to Ms. Miller, and if you don't, please don't put your notes away from your from the training over this last month.
I have something
We
I'd
had some
like to
really
share.
valuable information, and I know that the governance camp was a really unique opportunity. You know, a lot of times you go to these conferences and you hear from superintendents and professionals and education organizations, you know, but we also got to hear from students, and those were just some remarkable feedback and opportunities and perspective to learn from students. Ms. Hill.
Yes, I was actually going to say that governance camp particularly is always kind of a unique experience when you hear from the kids, and it kind of makes you get this little itch like, we have this, our kids could have been here, our kids could have done that. So I really just want to actually commend our staff, because you guys have been working so hard, and we've thrown a lot at you in the last few years and with COVID. But we've been starting to see within our board meetings more of what our students are doing. And I think that's really big because that's how we put our students on that platform. When we know what's going on, what they're doing in those extracurriculars. When you have a student, I highly encourage, if your campus is doing something amazing, we would like to welcome them, I feel, as a board, to do that for us, to show us so that when the state asks us, hey, what are your kids doing? Let's put a light on them. Let's shine it. That we know exactly what we're recommending, and we can do that with pride. Because I sat through so many sessions, and I thought to myself, APISD has that. And the Coastal Bend, from our area, I think the only other school I saw was Ingleside and GP.
And GP.
In GP, but GP presented. They had a student on the platform who got a scholarship. So it kind of made me think that if we want to be better, if we want to do better, we have an excellent district. We're doing great things. We have some of the best staff around here and some of the best students too. So I think that those types of conferences and giving our kids a voice in those spaces could really help set us apart as a district that strives for excellence and truly celebrates when our kids are doing great things. So I didn't want to share anything about what you guys are doing or how you're doing it or what you need to do, because I think you guys already know that. But I do just want to hopefully shine the light that you continue sharing with us and letting us see these great things that your campuses are doing, because we really want to put our kids at the tippity top that we can put them and take them to unique spaces that they've never seen before, because that's how they're going to grow. When we start taking them places and putting them on those platforms and challenging them to step up to the plate, other kids are going to want to do the same. And I think that's how we change the culture of this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Any other comments? Dr. Barnes?
Next or
Oh, no, just checking in with you too, because you were able to be there as well at the
I was
Student Voices.
Just piggyback off Ms. Hill's comments. It was great to see kids. That was my first time seeing kids present at a conference like that, and so I went to multiple sessions, and I kind of had the same thoughts Ms. Hill had, that we have some great kids I can see up there doing the same things, and so that'd be one of our goals we can work toward, to kind of get our kids and let everybody else see the great things that we're seeing here in Aransas Pass. It was really good. I appreciate y'all taking me to governance conference.
Okay. Our next item, we will move into the consent portion of our agenda. Dr. Barnes.
Yes, I'd like the
Oh, I'm
board-
sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. Forgot about that. As part of our continuing education credits, Mr. Molinak serves on the Legislative Advisory Council. And so he receives that, but he's also working very hard right now. So trustees, at your seats, there is a list of regional priorities that he just wants to bring to your attention Mr. Molinax.
Yeah, like I said, last month we had the TASBs went around to every region, all 20 regions throughout the state, and they give up their top 5 or 6 priorities for that region, and TASBs can consolidate all those, compile them together, and come up with all 20. They went through all 20 education service centers, and they come up. The very top of that page you have is the most priorities that they have identified throughout the state, and there's a legislative advisory council in Austin next month that I'm going to be going to. Again, if you have something on this that's not on there, again, we're going to what they're going to do is scrub these, because there's 3 pages of them, and they can't bring all those to the state legislators, so they're going to kind of scrub these down, and they may have a top 10 by the time we get through that they're going to bring up to the state legislator and fight those through, and to try to get the representatives. And it's worked pretty good in the past, that they bring up to state representatives, and if TASB's, in every region is supporting it, and your representatives let them know, that's the biggest thing, is you guys are voting up there in the state legislature. You need to get on and email them or whatever else when there's something out there that affects education. You need to voice your opinion into it, because it's made a big impact, as you heard from the governor recently. It's made a big impact on that things that they're trying to do that TASB doesn't support. And so again, just for your info wise, if you get a chance, I'm going to be going to that next month, the middle of next month, up to Austin. It's a 1-day, 3-hour conference that's up there. And if you have anything you want to add to these that you think is a higher priority, we'll go up. And what they'll do is try to consolidate these down into a manageable list instead of having the whole list throughout the region. And we'll come up with maybe the top 10 like they did last year. And they'll bring it up to the whole TASB at the TASB conference. And they're working this year because the legislators goes into session next year. So they work in the off years to try to work on the objectives so they can push them. And they've got representatives from TASB to go to talk to the state legislators and the state senators and push it to Austin to try to get those parties that the districts want. And TASB has identified that get funding or money or approval for. So it's important. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Molinax. Thank you for your continued service on that council. I'm sorry, now Dr. Barnes.
I'd ask the board to consider and approve the minutes of the February 12th, 2024 regular board meeting, and those minutes are attached there.
Trustees, if you've had an opportunity to review the minutes, do you have a motion? Okay.
I'm good. Sorry.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented by administration.
We have a motion by Mr. Galvan to accept the minutes from the February 12th, 2024 regular board meeting, second by Mr. Flores. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. We now will move into our action items on our agenda. Next is consider and approve contractor for tilt wall project at Charlie Marshall Elementary and AC Blunt Middle School campuses. And this evening, we have our district architect who will be here to present this item.
Thank you, Dr. Barnes, members of the school board. Yes, my name is Todd Brendel, and I'm with LWA Architects. A couple of months ago, to give you a little background on what is happening, a couple of months ago, the school contacted me about the 2 buildings y'all have, Charlie Marshall and AC Blunt. They're about 30 years old, and one's about 40 years old. So they wanted to make sure the buildings would last as long as they can. So they were having some issues with mortar failure and some sealant failures at the joints, and there was some sidewalk cracking at AC Blunt and a little bit here at Charlie Marshall. So we wanted to go ahead and address these issues. So we got a structural engineer involved, came out, looked at the facilities, and made some recommendations on repairs to do the project. So what we did is we put a design package together with the drawings of the of the two schools so that we could address the concerns of the district. So we're trying to maintain these buildings into the future. And so what that entailed was at Charlie Marshall here, you have tilt wall panels. The joints were starting to fail between the panels. You have joints about every 12 to 15 feet. So what we wanted to do was to reseal those joints, and we also wanted to reseal all the exterior windows so that we didn't get any water, through the walls in the building. We had once considered coating like we did the high school with a silica guard, but after reviewing the way this building was built, it's got a rock finish. So the best solution was to power wash the building, clean it very well so you get the white limestone rock back, and then seal the building with a sealcrete so it would maintain that appearance for a long time. Also, there was some rusted bolt connections at the gym that were exposed on the exterior, so we were going to go ahead and replace those with stainless steel fasteners that anchor the goals on each wall. So that needed to be done. And some concrete repair work at the cafeteria. There's one area that's spalding off. So that was bid proposal item 1. And then the alternate was to clear and seal the tilt wall panels. We had, and then let me talk about AC blunt. AC blunt is a split face panel, so it's actually block. So that building we could put a coating on and just kind of protect the mortar joints and the block, and hopefully solve some of if you see the building sometimes it looks kind of wet. It's just the moisture's just penetrating that building, so we want to try to put a coating to protect that building. So that's a little more extensive. Also, the aluminum windows kind of have a dark bronze that's very faded, so we went to a high-end paint to repaint those windows and try to bring that building back to life. There was quite a bit of concrete work on the back side of that building. There's a lot of drop-offs. Sidewalks are broken. So we're trying to solve some handicap issues at the back of the building. So that's why that cost us a little bit more than Charlie Marshall. Charlie Marshall. So we put a set of plans out to bid. We had 3 bidders looking at it pretty intensely. When it came to bid day last Wednesday, we had 2 bids that were submitted. We had one from Barcom and one from Weaver and Jacobs. They're both out of Corpus Christi. They're both commercial contractors. And so you probably have a copy of the bids in front of you. So we evaluated the bids based on the specifications. So we went through the selection criteria. We graded each one of those. And the second sheet, which maybe has a yellow band on it, we recommended Barcom because they were the best value for the district. They had the lowest monetary proposal amount, and they also had the fewer calendar days, and their other criteria was checked out fine. So if you look at the bid again, we have a total bid, a base bid with the alternate at $640,000, and then we have a contingency that is included in that $640,000 of $37,500. So some of that is mortar repair allowance, but we feel we have everything covered in the project. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
When is that work scheduled to start, during the school year?
It can, yes, sir. All the work's on the perimeter. We've talked to the school about it, to Jason, and we feel that they could start in 2 weeks after they get a contract and get all their bonding information. So that was a question from the contractor as well. Do they have to wait till the summer, or can they start now? And that still can be decided, but when we talked amongst ourselves, they could start immediately. So.
Question on the tail end of if the board selects Barcom, their quote includes a 90 days completion.
Yes.
So that would put us close to the start of school. What can we expect at that last phase?
I imagine there'll be Charlie Marshall will be probably 100% done, AC Blunt has a little more concrete work, so, but that's on the back side of the building. I think I don't think it's going to interfere with anything. I mean, you're going to have students while they're working here anyway, so I don't think it's going to affect. Hopefully the schools will be finished when the school year starts and everything looks great. But I imagine that'll pretty much be the way it is, yeah, if we can get it started early enough.
In the back, is it along all of the back of AC
Say
Blunt?
about 75%, and then it kind of wraps around to the doors on the west side. There's drop-offs there. So you have landings and you have a six-inch drop-off. So the students, you don't usually like to have a step down. You usually try to make it all smooth transition. So that's what we're doing in the back of the building.
Okay, because the back, we have our entry for our cafeteria, kitchen.
You have your gym.
Gym.
Or weight room
Mhm.
areas, overhead doors. So we're going to have those doors, the overhead doors, flush with the concrete, or pretty flush, so they don't step 6 inches down. So there's a smooth transition.
Okay.
That's our plan. So.
Did either one of these proposals come with any kind of warranty on the work?
Well, I mean, you get a 1-year contractor's warranty. That's standard with
That's
general
it.
contractors. The finishes, I believe the finishes have a 10-year warranty.
Okay,
I'll
from
have
the
to double check, but
manufacturers.
I believe that's right. Mhm.
And was the price difference? I mean, obviously they can be very different regardless, but was there anything significantly different between those two proposals to justify the price difference?
Well, I asked Patrick Hoffman, he's one of the owners at Barcom. I said, how come there's such a big difference in the cost? And he said, well, there was a very high paint number out there that somebody must have used, but they have Aldana painting. He said he's got everything covered per specs, and so we have to kind of take them at their word. I mean, we'll check their submittals and make sure they're doing it correctly, but
Well, it's
Yep.
true, I see that one is 30 days longer, so you add that cost for
yeah,
an extra 30 days, that's
It-
probably about $150,000
right.
there.
Yeah, extra overhead, just extra cost. So, I mean, obviously Barcom needs to work more than Weaver and Jacobs. I mean, they're both excellent contractors.
I think we've had work done by both of these.
You have Weaver and Jacobs built the baseball facilities. They did all the drainage, and then Barcom built the science labs in '08, I believe. The 4 science labs. I think it's 4 science labs out there, and some renovation work at the high school. So they both worked on your campus, and they both did a good job.
Any other trustees' questions or comments, concerns? Anything further, Todd or
If y'all
staff?
want to approve Barcom, I mean, are y'all going to vote to approve? If you approve them, then we get a contract going with their company. So I think it is an action item.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have, though.
Okay.
I have one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's one more question.
In here with the CMU repair and the CMU block and the plaster, and then we have coating per structural, is that for the the weather bearing barrier?
Yeah, it is it's a coating. It's by Silca. It's a 550 coating, so it's quite a bit thicker than paint, and it just basically coats those. It's a breathable material, and so you could change the color of the building. You could keep it the same. You could consolidate some of the colors because you've got a stucco color, which is kind of an orange right now. You've got some browns and tans and whites, so we'll let y'all decide what colors you want that building to be, but you have an opportunity to change it, or you can keep it the same with that coating. So, and we'll have a sample panel so y'all can decide, that's what we want it to look like.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Again, trustees, this is an action item. Do we have a motion to approve the contract? And if, in your motion, if you will name which contractor for the tilt wall project at Charlie Marshall Elementary and AC Blunt Middle School campuses as presented this evening.
I make a motion to approve Barcom as a contractor for the tilt wall project at Charlie Marshall and AC Blunt.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Mullinax to approve Barcom as a contractor for the tilt wall project for both of these campuses. Second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion?
One more thing, just for the administration. In the contract review, because we've had issues with deadlines in the past, can we ensure that our deadlines are stated in the contract and that we do not cover additional costs and we can do chargebacks if they drag out this process? Because some of this is within hurricane season, which obviously that's an act of God, but other than that, we should make sure that we're covering our ends there.
There is a $500 penalty if they go beyond the 90 days per day.
Perfect.
$500 per day? Okay, penalty. Okay. Any further discussion? We have a motion and second on the floor for Barcom as a contractor for the tilt wall project at both campuses. If nothing further, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. The motion carries. Our next item of business is to consider and approve out-of-state overnight trip request for the high school band. Dr. Barnes.
Yes, I'd ask the board to consider and approve. The band has I think it's a biannual trip, if I'm not mistaken, that they'd like to take to Walt Disney World. And the trip would be from May 28th to June the 2nd, and all out-of-state trips have to be approved by the board before the kids can attend.
Trustees, you have the supplemental information in your board book. Are there any questions, comments, concerns?
Has this money already been raised?
Sir?
Has it already been raised? Do they have the money to go already? Are they still in the fundraising?
They're still in the process, but what I asked the director was just to, and Mr. Rams helped me with this, just to get them to get it approved first, and then if the time comes and they don't have the funds to go, we can kind of, it'll be okay. What I didn't want them to continue doing was to raise funds, and the trip hadn't been approved yet by the board. And so I think they were kind of putting a cart before the horse there. And so that's why you have this in front of you tonight.
That won't happen again in the future. They'll ask before we start raising the money.
Thank you. Any other trustee questions or concerns?
I just have one, and it's rather small, just that we've done this in the past. And I know the past isn't an indication of the future, but we had some issues with the code of conduct on the trip. Will that be visited with the staff and the chaperones and everybody to understand that they're representing APISD? Okay.
I'd like to move to approve the trip.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Stansberry to approve the out-of-state overnight trip request for the APHS band. Second by Mr. Galvan. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Our next item of business is to consider and approve an interlocal agreement between the Aransas Pass ISD and the Aransas Pass Police Department for school resource officers. Dr. Barnes.
Yes, this is an interlocal agreement between the two aforementioned groups, the district and the local police department, and it's in reference to the school officers they provide to the campus. And so it's just for us to have in place the rules and regulations of what our expectations are from both parties with this agreement.
Any trustees' questions, comments, concerns?
I just for my information wise, do we have to do this every year? You know, we've already have an MOU. Do we have to update it every year, or is it something they once you do an MOU, unless something changes, we come back and update it?
I think we have to do them. When is it every year or every 2 years?
Yeah, traditionally they're every year, but
Yeah.
they could have a 2-year term.
Yeah, it just kind of varies. Yeah.
Okay, that's the only question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Any other questions or concerns? If not, do we have a motion to approve an interlocal agreement between APISD and Aransas Pass Police Department for school resource officers?
So motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Galvan. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Stansbury. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Our next item of business is to consider and approve the purchase of a district vehicle through a purchasing co-op. Dr. Barnes.
Yes, it's back where we were. Alrighty, and so what we have in front of you is we went out for a bid to see the cost of a additional vehicle. The current vehicle we have is a 2013 Chevy Suburban. Especially this time of year, we run into issues where we have more activities than vehicles to transport students and staff. And we went through the buy board process with this to go out and seek bids to try to get the best price. And Ms. Choppa and Mr. Diven have been working to try to see what we could do. And what you have before you, I'll let Ms. Choppa just mention the three, actually four, I think, that we received in reference to that.
3 of the 4 vendors replied, and we're looking for a 2024 model. There's none available anymore, and if they quoted us for a 2025 model, but it won't be until next year. One of the companies offered an alternative, $56,362.50 for a 2024 Ford Expedition Max. It's the long with the 3rd seat. And we'll receive this in June. This will be through the TIPS purchasing co-op.
I'm sorry, what was that? Which co-op?
The TIPS,
TIPS?
it's another purchasing co-op that we also have an interlocal agreement with. So that is what we are recommending, so we can get this vehicle sooner, is to go with the Ford Expedition for $56,000. We did have additional monies available from the amount that we budgeted for our insurance, property insurance. So with that additional money, we're looking at what other needs we have, and this is an older vehicle that we're replacing, the 2013 Chevy Suburban.
And I guess the fleet vehicles, they only make so many in a year. I just assume that they just made just as many as they do other cars, but they didn't. And so a lot of the other ones, there's one that was on the list, but it was a used vehicle. And so it did come with some warranty, but, you know, there's always an issue if you're, you know, what do you get when you're buying a used vehicle? And also it was really, had a lot of the extras on it that we didn't necessarily need. And we didn't want to present it to the public either, that we were, even though it might have been a little cheaper, that we were overspending, I guess you would say. So we wanted to kind of stick with a fleet vehicle for school purposes.
Trustees, any questions?
These vehicles got a logo or?
Yes, sir. Once they get them in, they'll take care of all that.
We're looking at wrapping it for about $3,000 more, putting a logo on it.
Just have a question. Where does this fall in the overall our vehicle inventory? Do we have other situations like this? I know we spent earlier in the year and last year we spent our focus on buses, and so now that those are coming, do we have other vehicle or fleet items that we can anticipate in
Mr. Diven
the budget?
felt comfortable with the other work vehicles that we have currently in the district, and so what we talked about was just kind of creating a long-term plan of every so many years to, you know, kind of create a rotation of the purchase as needed. We just didn't want to wait, you know, it won't be 10 years again. because as our needs change and, we just want to get on the cycle. But right now, he said everything else is fine.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve that new vehicle.
Do you need us to specify which one? Are you recommending the TIPS,
Tips purchase, yes, ma'am.
the Ford
The Ford
Expedition?
Expedition.
Is that what you're?
Ford
Oh.
Expedition, I'm making a motion to approve for the new Ford Expedition.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Flores to accept the purchase of a fleet vehicle, which is the Ford Expedition, through TIPS, as presented by staff. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries.
I do have a question. We're still gonna use our old ones, right? The 2013, we're not.
No, we're
retiring.
not going to retire yet. We're going to
Use it like locally or whatever.
use it locally, yes, sir. And we're also going to invest a little bit in it too, as we get the new wrap done, kind of clean it up more, go through the detailing process with it, so that we still can use it for some of our.
How many
'cause-
miles you have on it?
Oh, Yeah.
It was about 160,000.
I remember when we first got it.
Yeah, but 10 years, that's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah,
that's
it's
not bad.
no.
Yeah.
He said it was just some maintenance, that if we did a little better job on the maintenance early on, we probably would be in better shape with it right now. But Mr. Divins on top of that, so I'm looking forward.
So it'll be used local, and then we'll use the newer one when it gets here to transport student and staff. Okay. Thank you. Next, we have consider and approve a pass-through grant from the Ed Rachel Foundation through the Aransas Pass ISD Education Foundation for the APISD Texas ACE program. Dr. Barnes.
Yes, ma'am. And as you heard earlier tonight, they're planning some summer activities, and a lot of it's enrichment activities. And so a part of the grant that we currently have is more of an academic focus. TA has some real strict guidelines on it. And so some of the other activities they want to do this summer are outside what we can, pay for with the grant. And so the Ed and Rachel Foundation has agreed to provide that additional funding. And so asking the board to receive this pass-through grant for that activity.
Trustees, any questions, comments? If not, do we have a motion? Do we have a motion to approve the pass-through grant in the amount of $65,500 from the Aransas Pass ISD Education Foundation for the APISD Texas ACE program, as presented?
So move.
We have a motion by Mrs. Hill, second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. So to go along with that, we have the next item, which is to consider and approve a budget amendment for this pass-through grant for the APISD Texas ACE program. Dr. Barnes.
Yes, and with accepting that grant, I'd also ask that the board accept a budget amendment so we can accept the grant into our budget process.
Questions, trustees? Do we have a
Approve the budget amendment.
We have a motion by Mr. Stansberry to approve the budget amendment as presented for this pass-through grant for the APISD Texas ACE program. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mullinax. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. We're now at the portion of our meeting for discussion of topics for future meetings. Trustees, does anyone have anything tonight that you would like to have scheduled at a future meeting? If not, if you think of something later, just let Dr. Barnes and myself know. If not, we will move to convene an executive session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.001, concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act. Section 551.074, personnel, resignations, retirees, update on district evaluation process, review of superintendent evaluation procedures and instrument. The time now is 8:54. We're closing our open session to convene in closed session. The time now is 9:46 p.m. We have closed our executive session. We are reconvening in open session to act on any items requiring action from the closed session. Next up, we have consider and approve resignations. Do we have a motion to approve the resignations that were presented?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mullinex, second by Mrs. Hill. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Next item, consider and approve retirees that were presented. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Mrs. Hill, second by Mr. Rector. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. The time now is 9:47. Trustees, if there's nothing further for this evening, we are now adjourned.